Right, here we are at Rex's Speedshop. Let's go and see if Marcus, the boss, is in. Hi Marcus, are you there?
Hi Julie.
Good morning, how are you? Nice
How are
to
you?
see you.
I'm good. Yeah, nice to see you. Yeah.
Thanks for letting us film here.
That's all right. Yeah, nice to see you again. It was Ashford last time we saw each other, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, I enjoyed that.
Good.
Yeah. It was it was nice to be out and doing the shows again. We haven't done any of those shows for a long time.
Good.
So
good.
no, it was good.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
enjoyed it.
tell me about the business. Obviously, you've been in business a long time.
Yeah. 2008. I got the original Speedshop idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything proper. It was. I had a Yamaha SR500. I had five actually.
Yeah.
And I was always chopping and changing bits and swapping and putting tune-up bits on them.
Yeah. Because when did they stop making them?
Now that's tricky. The 500s I think stopped in about 1982-ish.
Yeah. So you're looking at like 30-year-old. Technology, aren't you?
But the 400s carried on. And you can get 400s right up until now. But they're fuel injection now. So completely different animal. But the original 500s, I believe, and someone's going to pick me up and say no. But 80s was pretty much the end of those. I think.
So you started in 2008 because you've got your SR500 and you needed bits for it.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is your background?
Aviation.
Oh.
Yeah, I trained as a aircraft engineer.
Oh.
And back then I was working for Air UK, no, KLM UK.
KLM, the Dutch company.
Yes, that's right, yeah. And we had this wonderful shift pattern, 4 days on, 4 days off.
Oh, nice.
And those 4 days off, I was out in the garage, twiddling spanners on the SRs. So,
so you took the plunge then and chucked in the day job and...
No, it took a long time because it was a real hobby.
Yeah.
Something I could just sort of pick up and, when I was at work, you were at work.
Yeah.
And I could be anywhere in Europe.
Yeah. So you're actually on site fixing planes?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But on my 4 days off, that's when I'd come back. And back then, I'd probably get about, 10, 12 emails a month.
Yeah.
So that's very handleable.
Yeah.
But I was sending parts all the way around the world, Australia mainly.
Yeah.
But lots to Europe, lots to America. But then one of my SRs, it stopped running.
Yeah.
And I sent off for an ignition box for it, and that also didn't work. So I took the new one apart and realised that, well, actually, this is something that we could make.
You could do better.
We could do better.
Yeah.
So I made some up on prototype, we call it breadboard.
Yeah.
And then strapped it onto the back of the bike.
Yeah.
And at that time, the business was in Saffron Walden.
Yeah.
Which is very near to Stansted Airport.
Yeah.
So it's up in Saffron Walden. So I was riding around Saffron Walden with this odd contraption strapped to the back of an SR500.
Not going out in the rain.
Not going out in the rain. No, it was summer. It was August. I remember.
Yeah.
And it worked really well.
Yeah.
So I started making a few.
Yeah.
And just down the road for me, there was a electronics company called RAK. So they made up all the printed circuit boards for me. I put all the components on. Put all the connectors on. Finding the connectors, that was the biggest challenge. You wouldn't believe it. You would have thought the electronics.
Yeah.
No, it's finding the connectors.
But not being funny, 2008. Okay, obviously the internet was there, but it wasn't as developed as it is nowadays.
No.
Nowadays, especially with AI, it's so easy to find things. Anyway, back to Rex's Speedshop. I mean, I love the name. That's great. And it's been Rex's Speedshop since the start.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, we had it started off as Rex's Speedshop.
Yeah.
And then when I started selling parts sort of commercially, we put it in with a limited company behind it, which was started in 2010.
Yeah, because of course you are Marcus Rex. So
yes, right. Yeah. So but when it was put on a proper commercial basis, we set it up commercially in the background. And
so how long have you been in Robertsbridge?
Since 2010.
Oh, yeah.
So what's that? 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I thought it was longer than that.
Feels like longer than that. So yeah, from just dealing with one model of bike, we now sort of cover an awful lot of classics, particularly two-strokes.
Right, the kind of
the
H2s and
that's
what
it.
have you.
All the Kawasaki triples. Again, it's
so that's customer demand.
Yes.
It's not your fave machine.
No. We started a rewinding service because although the electronic module is one part of the system, the generator is another, and that powers it. And when you've got a very highly stressed winding, for example, one that supplies an ignition, very often 15 years is their life. That's it.
No, the windings don't last forever, do they?
No, that's it.
Because you've got the vibration, especially on a kind of automotive.
Yeah,
on a bike.
Definitely. So you've got all that vibration, you've got the heat, and Japanese electronic ignitions actually run at about 200 to 300 volts, so very high voltage, and all that puts pressure on those windings. So they very often fail quite soon. But now what we're seeing is these bikes are now 40 or 50 years old, and the whole alternator is no good. The heavier windings that do the lighting, they generally last a lot longer, but now even those are failing. So we started that process, and we really pride ourselves here. We put them back to OEM standard. Now that's not the cheapest way to do it, but we feel that the original designers made them last 40 to 50 years. We should be doing the same.
You could be doing yourself out of a job.
Well,
it's quality. That's what people want. You're right. I mean, at the end of the day, these are people's pride and joy in machines. They don't want to put some naff component that's going to conk out. And the problem with that also, you're out somewhere and it conks out and you can't get home, and then you're like, oh.
Well, one of the biggest problems that we had with Kawasaki Triple GTs, any restored bike.
Well, Suzuki GTs.
Suzuki GTs,
of course,
that's it, people would spend thousands on the chrome, the engine,
the cosmetics,
and they'd ride it, and then 30 miles later, it's conked out. And the reason is the generators, the original thing, it's what's running your bike, and it's just gone, do you know what? I've done 40 years hard labour as it is. You've had enough now. And because it's hidden away under engine covers, it's often ignored.
Yeah, but I remember back in the 80s, sometimes you had a problem with the generator and you couldn't always get another one. I think Super Dreams or something were known for that. And
that was right.
You used to end up scrapping them because if you can't actually make it run, it's.
Well, I remember working on Super Dreams and telling a customer that a new stator was £750 plus VAT, and that was in 1988. So a lot of money. And when you consider that Super Dreams used to change hands for sort of £50, £100,
it ain't happening. It's surprising that there's any left, really.
Well, what happened was somebody worked out how to repair the part of the generator that failed, which gave it a new lease of life. But now what we're finding is the generators are now so old, just doing a partial repair isn't successful. You can do it for the customer puts it back on the bike, and it might last 6 months, and then the bike's off the road again.
It's not what you want.
It's not what
you've got to have a satisfied customer.
That's right, and this is why we've come away from doing those.
Oh, so you don't do so many repairs then?
No, we do, but we won't do a partial, because we know we're going to have a warranty issue with it 9 times out of 10.
So what is your warranty then?
It's a year.
That's fair enough.
But generally with electronics, you find if it's going to fail, it will fail within the first 10 minutes, or it will go on and live for at least 10 years, maybe longer. Actually, usually longer.
So what we got here, Marcus?
Well, SR500 needs quite a lot of work. 500cc single, kickstart only. So that's a Yamaha. Yes, Yamaha. And this is one of the the project bikes that we are going to get ready.
So this is your machine that you're building up? Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
You've got a way to go yet?
Yes, there's a lot of work needed on the frame.
Yeah.
A lot of work needed on the engine. As you see, half of it's missing.
Yeah. So is that a trick swing arm in it?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought so. It's not standard.
Yeah,
nice.
no.
And you've done some work on the frame?
Yes.
Yeah,
there's a lot of work done on
hasn't it?
Yeah, a lot.
I didn't know you were into all this customisation. I thought you were a standard bike person.
No, generally I am a standard bike,
Yeah.
but this machine was so beaten up.
Yeah.
Basically, it came in from Australia. It'd been ragged round the outback. It was covered in orange sand.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't much of it. So we've got it registered in this country, put it all back together, and it now just needs, building up.
So have you got all the parts?
Yes.
It was complete.
It was a complete bike, but it was in a hell of a mess, and we only just managed to get it MOT'd.
Yeah.
It just scraped through an MOT with a lot of work to it.
So that you could register it.
So we registered it. Now it just needs the I'll say just
So when you imported it, did you have to get the Nova and everything?
No, I mean
it's pre-Nova.
Pre-Nova.
Oh, you've had it that long.
Oh yes,
Get a move on. The sun's shining, man. You've got this running.
Well, we want to take it beach racing.
Perfect.
Is it at Margate?
Yeah, they do it at Margate. Margate, Bridlington.
Yeah.
Peel on the Isle of Man.
Yeah, so
and
perhaps
there's another one in the West Country, isn't there?
There is. Perhaps not on the beach, maybe on the seafront next to it.
Yeah. I don't know how people can take their bikes on the beach, because you're just going to fill it up with salt and sand.
Yeah.
It's
like...
I
know.
It's only because I don't like washing bikes, so I know that I wouldn't wash it properly if I took it on the beach.
Well,
I'm a bit lazy with the washing.
Well, I sail boats, and I know what happens to anything that you put in the sea.
Of course, that's your
the thought of putting a newly restored bike on the sand.
And then all that sand, all that grit and what have you. Mind you, if it's come from Australia, if it was like some kind of agricultural bike. Did it have a big rack on the back when you got it?
No. It had a fiberglass fuel tank and body kit, and it looked a little bit like something from Mad Max. And nothing worked on it. We had great fun getting the brakes working.
So, excuse my ignorance then. So, is the SR, is that quite a rare model?
Not really, no.
I just wonder why you'd imported it. You couldn't get one here, or?
Basically, it was cheap.
Fair enough.
I paid.
It was a good deal.
Yeah, I think I paid. I can't remember now. It was a long time ago, but not £500.
Yeah, well, if it was pre-Nova.
Yeah.
But then what about the shipping?
It was here already.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It
had found its way into England in a container.
Yeah.
So luckily, it had all the paperwork with it.
Yeah.
So I took it. It had to go to one of the DVLA offices, but back then they didn't want to see it. They just wanted all the paperwork, and I had to pay import tax and VAT on it. It was a princely sum of not a lot. No, I can't remember exactly, but it really wasn't very much money at all. And then it was just a case of getting an MOT done. Yeah. And then
ripping it down and starting work.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Why has it got XT on the tank?
Saga.
It's confused me.
Yes. The fuel tank. Again, it was a cheap bargain off eBay.
Yeah. And it fits the different models.
No, it was a kit, because they did a kit for these to make them look like BSA Gold Stars.
Who did that?
Oh, it was a company down in West Country.
Yeah.
I can't remember their name now. But anyhow, they were selling off their old stock, and this tank was damaged.
Yeah.
This is where the saga starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got sent away to a welder,
and
I said to him, "You're not going to weld it, are you? You're going to bang those dents out." He said, "Oh, yeah, I'll bang the dents out."
Yeah.
Anyhow, he welded it and absolutely ruined it.
Yeah.
Then it went away...
Because it's light, isn't it? Aluminium.
Yeah. Then it went away to somebody else who actually lost the tank. So it was tankless again.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, but a customer got to here and he just walked in one day and said, "I've got an XT tank for you."
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
And we thought, well, that's not going to fit.
Yeah.
And it's not perfect, but with a little bit of welding, And as you can see, we've done quite a lot of welding here.
Yeah. So what was the difference between the XT and the SR then?
The frames were slightly different.
Same maker?
Yeah, same maker.
Why did they do that? Why did Yamaha do that?
Well, the XT is a completely different type of motorcycle. Yeah, it's off-road.
Oh, the SR, is it meant to be a little cruiser thing?
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, it's a road bike.
So you know how ignorant I am about Japanese
well,
bikes,
Japanese bikes,
yeah.
So the XT is enduro bike. Yeah, it's off-road primarily.
Yeah.
Although you see them on the road more often than not. And this was always just the road model. And there's some subtle differences.
Yeah, hence you're changing the shocks. And so what is it going to look like when you're finished? Street scrambler?
Basically.
Nice.
Basically.
What colour are you going to do it? Yellow?
Could be yellow.
Got to be yellow, really, isn't it?
Could be yellow, or it could just be black and silver. There are a lot of black and yellow Yamahas out there already. So I don't know. I haven't decided on the headlight, the handlebars. The other thing that's going to confuse people is it's got XT yokes on it. No, not forks, just the yokes. And we had fun fitting SR forks into those. They
look very skinny compared to modern bikes, don't they?
Yeah. So
Oh, look at the headlamp brackets all drilled out. That's cute.
Yeah, we on the back of those there were some casting marks. Yeah. So we used those and just drilled through the casting marks, and luckily they were all evenly spaced. So
it's kind of pre-marked.
It was, yeah. It doesn't always happen like that.
Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, well, thanks for that, Marcus. That's
You're
brilliant.
welcome.